Welcome to the Unfiltered Social Worker. Hi, welcome back. I am the Unfiltered Social Worker. I'm Denise. Thank you for those who are returning to my channel, as well as those. This is your first time here. I'm so happy, so elated that you have taken the time out of your busy schedule to listen to some experience over here by the Unfiltered Social Worker. This is episode 3, and I call it episode 3 because I'm just telling my story, and hey, we'll see what goes and what happens with that. So, this particular episode will be about my previous experiences that led me to become a social worker unknowingly. Now, I knew at a young age, probably around early teens, that I wanted to work with children. That was something that I just gravitated towards. I knew that children always was kind of magnetized by my energy. They will always come to me smiling, laughing, wanting to play, share things with me. And I'm like a stranger to them, but they always would gravitate towards me. And I just felt like, I probably need to put that nice little skill to use. And so I sought out to do something within the field of working with children. I started to get some experience by working at several daycares across the city for which I reside. And I noticed something about working in those environments. It wasn't necessarily the children that was a challenge, it was the adults that were employed at these various facilities. I just couldn't understand it. I felt like they definitely had some mental health challenges there, but nonetheless, the experience of working with children was something that just pushed me more and more and more towards wanting to be in the field. But I actually forgot about it. I never was exposed to labeling it as early childhood. Never was. I just knew that that was an age range that I enjoyed working with. I moved from my hometown to the lovely state of Tennessee to pursue career advances as well as educational advancements. And when I tell you, initially the struggle was really real. And it was a short lived struggle because it was just the first few months, but I found myself really just trying to figure it out. I was aspiring to attend the University of Memphis in their school psychology program, but I could never get a grasp of the standardized test that is required, the GRE, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. I had my challenges there, and then I decided, well, you know what? How about I go and work on a teaching certification, which was really, really odd because I never had any aspirations of becoming a teacher per se. But that one semester did a great deal for me. So I attended that. I learned a great deal. I challenged myself. It opened up my eyes still to a field that I had no knowledge of, that I would actually have a passion for at this present time and day. And that is with early childhood. So I was grasping and really just sponging in so much wealth of information. And then I started to work at this wonderful facility. Now, at the time, and I'm going to be very candid and honest because I'm unfiltered, I didn't like the place. I thought that, well, let me backtrack. Initially, I liked the place because they hired me very, very quickly, which now I know why. Because any place that hires you rather quickly, they appear to be kind of desperate for employees because of their turnover rate is so high. And I was just happy to have a job. I felt like I accomplished something that I didn't have to have my family there. I was on my own. And I just felt like I accomplished something on my own. Just period, point blank. Can't really put it any other way than that. I started working at a facility that dealt with behaviorally and emotionally challenged children. The majority of the children were teenagers, or we'll just say that's the age range that I worked with, the adolescent males. I didn't want to work with females because I felt like females, I'm a female. Yeah, we'll talk about that later too. But I really wanted to experience working with male teenagers and finding out what was making them tick. I knew what made a female tick, but I really didn't know what was going on in the mind of a male, particularly those that were dealing with a lot of life challenges. I studied psychology, but to really kind of put that into perspective, into actual play, was a challenge for me, and I was like welcoming it so big, so much. But once more, I also had to deal with the psychology of working with coworkers. Oh my goodness, it was like mind blowing. It was good. I'm not going to tell you it was all bad, but I definitely had a balance of what was going on. And a lot of things I was very passive about. Didn't know a lot of things was going on around me, but I knew one thing to be true. There was some really great, strong teamwork there. And then there were other moments where not so good. And I probably played a major role in it not so good too. I'm not going to put any blame on anyone, but it was definitely an experience of me being in my 20s and working this major, first real true major job. I had jobs prior to, but I felt like they were kind of small, but this was like a real grown up job to me. And so I worked in that facility for a number of years, but in this particular area of the residential side, I worked there for a good 8 months. And then I challenged myself. Let's move to another part. Then I went and started working in foster care. Foster care was a totally different aspect. Social work was a totally different experience. Here we are moving children from this perspective of being in a residential facility, having housing, having their needs met, to actually being placed with another group of strangers, because we were strangers working in the facility, a residential facility, but then you put them in an environment where they're living with people that say they care and they want to nurture them and actually fill the void that their parents, their biological family, could not fulfill for them at that time. It could be for a short period of time, or it could actually be for the long haul and lead to adoption. And so that was a wonderful experience in itself. And at some point, I'm going to go a little bit deeper than that. But before we go any further about what I have done in my life, I want you all to leave me some comments. Definitely address some questions that you may have about what it is to me, or what it is for me to be a social worker. What are some of your thoughts about social work? There are some good stories, and there's probably a lot of, misinformed information out there, as well as some bad things, because I'm not going to tell you that it's all hunky-dory. It is some things that has happened in the field of social work over the last or recent years that just really have, it throws your antennas up. It really truly does. So definitely leave those questions and comments in the comment section for me, and stay tuned for the next video, because I have more information to share with you.